So now we're started. I gotta probably have to edit that whole thing out. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Favor Friday, and today's topic is created for creativity. We're going to go over 3 points of creativity today. This is probably an ongoing lesson, so let's just stay in tune with it. We got Milton visiting us this morning. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about Genesis. Can we go to Genesis? Genesis in the Bible. I want to talk about my book. I want to talk about the book of the Bible, but I also want to talk about you being in your purpose, okay? You being a creative. You are created for creativity. And in Genesis 1:27, there is a verse that says, so God created one man in his own image, and in the image and likeness of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Okay? So then God blessed them and gave them certain authority. But the first thing I want to talk about is God creating. If you believe in a God, if you believe in a source, if you believe in a higher power, something higher than yourself, or something more supreme than yourself, then it is my understanding that if the God that we believe in creates, then that must mean we can create too. We have the ability to create as well. The reason why this is so important to me is because I created something. I've created a business. I've created an impact from writing a book. So there is true evidence that you can create. Okay? There is true evidence that you can create. God created, so can you. So that was Genesis 1:27. Let's go to Ephesians 2:10. Ephesians 2:10 says, I'm going to it on my phone. Y'all know we got to do it the new way, honey. We got to do it the new way. Ephesians 2:10 says, and I'm reading from the AMP version, okay? 2:10 says, for we are his workmanship, his own masterwork, a work of art, created in Christ Jesus, reborn from above, spiritually transformed, renewed, ready to be used for good works, which God prepared for us beforehand, taking paths which he said, so that we would walk in them, living the good life which he prearranged and made ready for us. What I really want to focus on in this is, for we are his workmanship. God prepared us beforehand. So, when I hear this, God prepared us beforehand. God prepared me beforehand to write this book. God prepared me before to deliver this message. Preparation. We're going to talk about preparation. But right now, the first point of creativity, if we had to talk about creativity, we're going to talk about the beginning, the dream, the concept. Does any of you know anything about birth, giving birth, or having a baby or pregnancy at all? Okay. So we're going to talk about the beginning. And so Genesis is the beginning of the Bible. And so in the beginning, God was using words. God used words to create the world that we live in today. God said, let there be light, and there was light. God said, let there be day and night, and there's day and night. God said, let there be man and woman and fish and creatures under the sea, and so it was. God said, let there be vegetation, meaning veggies and fruits and produce that we can eat and live off of. God said these things with the tongue, the power of the tongue. And so when you think about what you will create in life, we're not going to be here long, but when you think about what you will create in life, I want you to think about the beginning of your life. What are you good at? What are some things that you always find yourself doing? Type in the chat if there is something that you're good at. Type in the chat, I am good at blank, okay? Because the beginning is where God starts, but it's also a representation of order. There must be an order of situations, processes, things, creation, okay? There is a process and there's a beginning to creation. God has already created everything from scratch. God gave order to creativity. Okay? Here's what you do not have to do. You do not, as a creator, as a creative, created by God. Okay, I'm using this word a lot because I want you to understand it. As a creator, created by God, you have the ability to start from where God has you. Okay, you are created for creativity. And if God already started from the beginning and God created order, she created order, God created order, God created creativity, God created the beginning, then that must mean you stand on what God has already created, which means you're not starting from scratch. Milton says, I'm good at technology and being a good listener. That is so good. You can use both of those things in your future for your future success. So let's talk about resources. When you want to be resourceful, you have to look at things around you and ask yourself, how can I optimize? How can I use what I already have to become more successful, to become more of what I want to be in my future, in my present? Use your resources. So the first thing I would like to say about resources are present. We no longer start from scratch, okay? And the beginning represents order. Beginning represents order. Okay, beginning represents order. So the 3 points of creativity that we're going to talk about, I hope you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, say, yes, we can see your screen. The first point of creativity we're going to talk about is the beginning. Beginning represents order. The second point of creativity is develop. Trust your creative gene. And then the last point of creativity we're going to talk about is reality. Milestones are reminders of your experience. Okay? So we have 3 points of creativity. Okay? Let's talk about them. I'm doing this a little different today because I want y'all to be with me, okay? I want y'all to be with me. So there were some other words that stood out to me, and I'm going to share them with you all. The 3 words that stood out to me, or some words and phrases that stood out to me, was the word affirm, the word sustain, and the word validate. Okay? Sustain, affirm, and validate. We're actually going to look up the definition of sustain. Okay? We're going to look up the definition of validate. You can do this as well. You can type it in and you can do this for yourself. So, when we think about the beginning, point 1, the beginning represents order. Number 2, develop Okay, so what we have to do, we have to develop a trust that God created us to be creative. What I mean is, you have to trust that you have something inside of yourself that allows you to be good at what you're doing, to be confident in what God has placed you to do. If you are alive today, that literally and basically means you have a reason for being here. There is a problem that you were created to solve. You came through your mother's womb. You finished the biggest race of them all. And now you're here to do what God has designed you to do. So you have to trust that you have creative genes just like God. And so when we think about affirm, I love affirm because in Genesis 1:25, it talks about affirm, how God affirms these things. Let's go to Genesis 1:25. It says, so God made the wild animals of the earth according to their kind, and the cattle according to their kind, and everything that creeps and crawls on the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good, which means pleasing and useful. And God affirmed and sustained it. What does it mean when you affirm? What does it mean to affirm something? Let's see what it means to affirm. When I think about affirm, I automatically think about affirmations. I automatically think about words. I automatically think about reassurance. I automatically think about positive and strong. And so what it says here is affirm means to state as a fact, assert strongly and publicly. It also means to offer someone emotional support or encouragement. Okay. And so when we think about affirm in the Bible, to assert positively, to tell with confidence, to declare the existence of something, to maintain something as true. So when God affirmed all that he saw, God affirmed that everything that was created was good. So that means God affirmed you being created and coming through your mother's womb, from your dad, from your father. And God says you are good. God affirms you. So that means that you can trust that you have creative genes. You can trust that you can create a new piece of technology. You can trust that you can create a business that offers and serves the world how you want to offer and serve the world. You can trust that whenever you move from place to place, that you will be affirmed because God has created you. Okay, so when we talk about develop means you have to develop in different ways. So let's talk about those different ways that you need to develop. So when we think about develop, we think about cycles, phases, seasons, systems, and processes. Okay? We're talking about develop. Okay? What has to happen is through development, you have to find joy and trust. Because truthfully, while you are developing through different cycles and phases, when you're a child, when you're a baby, you don't do the same things that you did do while you're 15 years old. When you're 15, you don't do the same things that you do at 25. You may be doing certain things to a certain capacity if you're living off the experience, if you're building off your experience. But your mindset is different. The way you communicate through life is different. And so we have to develop a strong gene to know that every cycle, every phase, every season, every system, every process is going to be different. And I must trust that whatever I go through, whether it's challenging, difficult, or easy and smooth, that I can have joy because God has created me to go through these sets of systems, seasons, phases, cycles, and processes for such a time as this. You are designed to solve a problem. You are designed to be here for a reason. So every reason will become more affirmed and more, you'll become more sure of that reason when you allow yourself to grow and go through the different cycles, phases, seasons, and systems of life. Okay. So now when we think about the next part of this, we already said affirm means to, and let's write this down. Affirm means to assert positively. Assert positively. It also means to tell with confidence. It also means to declare existence and to maintain as true. So God has already called you and declared you into existence. You are here now. Now we need to take you from just being here and being alive to actually living inspired and living on purpose, okay? So the next thing I want to talk about is, let's talk about taking this to the next level, and we're going to talk about reality. Completion. Completion. Completion and reality. Okay. So reality validates the thought that you have or conception. We can say the thought, dream, idea. Okay. That's what reality does. Milestones are reminders of experience from those different cycles, phases, etc. that you've been through. Remember, we just talked about those things, cycles and phases and systems and processes, okay? We just talked about those. I want to underline a couple of words. Reality validates, experience, milestones, okay? So now I want to tell you that God validated this earth experience on day one. You do not have to worry. You do not have to fret. God has already validated your earthly experience. So I want you to tell yourself, I want you to type in the comments, my biology is godlike. Yes, you living in the word. Yes, that is so true. So true. I want you to type in the chat box, my biology is godlike. I'm going to type it in the chat box too. My biology is godlike. Okay? Yes. My biology is godlike. So when you think about affirming yourself as a God being, because God created you, you now know that something in you, something a part of you is like God. When you think about biology, biology is dealing with the human body, okay? Dealing with the human body. And we think about the word sustain. I like this word, sustain. Sustain means to strengthen or support. So when God said that God saw what was good, God affirmed and sustained it. It means that God not only reassured and said things with confidence that this is good with confidence, God also supported that. And support, when you think about support, think about a home, a building, a tree. A tree is supported because of the roots that are down in the ground that nobody can see. Trees that are really, 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 really big. Really, think about the biggest tree you ever saw. Have you ever stopped to think about how deep and how strongly rooted that tree is? Trees can be so powerful and so sustained to the fact that they're immovable by even storms and tornadoes that come through. The roots of the tree are sustained. So when you think about yourself and your creative genes, know that not only did God create you with confidence, God supported you and said, I'm going to sustain this person because this person is here to solve a problem, here to be on this world, in this world, and make an impact. Okay? And when we think about the Bible version of sustain, it's to keep alive, to maintain, to comfort, to relieve, to endure without failing, to be nourished. So when you think about healthy foods sustain you for a long life. If you want a long life, you need to eat more healthier live foods. Eat that vegetation that God created. Eat that fruit and vegetables that God created, because that will sustain you. It will give you energy. It will give you life. Food is life. So when we think about sustaining, creativity is also something that sustains our world and our lives, okay? So I want you to type in the chat now, my purpose is to create. Type in the chat, my purpose is to create. Type in the chat, my purpose is to create. My purpose is to create. Type it in the chat. We got my biology is God-like. That means you're listening. Say yes, 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 yes. So when you type that in the chat, I want you to know that your purpose is to create. Create a life that is good for you. Create a life that is good for others. Create a life that is pleasing, that is good, and thinking about things that are creative. What can you create? Can you create a t-shirt? Can you create a new product? Can you create some happiness for someone? Can you create kindness for somebody? Can you be kind to people? Your purpose in this life may just be kind, okay? It may be to be kind to others. It may be to just share your life with other people. Now, there's this other word that's being used, okay, in the Bible, and it's in Genesis 1:31. And I love this word because it's just really big to me. And we're gonna write this word down too. So our three words is affirm, sustain, and then our last one is validate. Okay, I'm gonna put those words on my screen. Is that okay with y'all? I'm gonna put those words on my screen. We got affirm, sustain, and then we got validate. Affirm, sustain, and validate. These are our 3 words. And our definition of validate goes to check or prove the validity or accuracy of something. When you validate something, you are testing the validity, the accuracy. Let's think about it in the Bible. When we think about validate, it's to make something legal. Doesn't make sense. To verify. Okay? To make legal, to grant official, to confirm something. To support or corroborate on a sound of authoritative basis. To recognize, establish, or illustrate the worthiness or legitimacy. Have you ever thought about legitimacy? Is something legitimate? Meaning, is it legal? Is it something that is good? Is it something that we must adhere to? So in Genesis 1:31, and I'm almost done, God saw everything that God made, and behold it was very good. And God validated it completely. God validated everything that was created and said, this is good. God validated these things. God validated, which means to confirm, to say this is legitimate, to say that this is verified, this is legal, this is legal. So God has created you to be a legal, creative being. So this was well within my authority. This reality of this book, my reality is validated. My thoughts are validated because I created this book, because I created a business, because I have faith in God, because I am God-like. My reality has been validated. My thoughts and my dreams and my ideas have been validated because not only did I allow God to create me, I let God do God's part, but I'm also doing my part. See, the thing about creativity and hitting different milestones and having experiences is that you have to do your part. It's not just up to God. God created you. God got you here. So now you need to do your part by holding up your end of the bargain. Okay, God said, I created you. Now what you going to do with your life? Are you going to sit around, be sad, mad, disturbed, distracted, and mean, and all of those things? Or are you going to create? Are you going to be inspired? Are you going to be kind? Are you going to be good? Are you going to be stressing all the time and sick and worried and eating unhealthy and not exercising, not honoring your body by eating good things, not honoring your body by going out and taking a walk? Are you going to just go through life, look at the green grass and the green trees and the blue sky and the yellow sun and the blue waters and not enjoy your life? Life is meant to be created. Life is meant to be lived. Life is meant to be enjoyed. And so when you create things like I've done with t-shirts and books and speaking engagements, and you create inspiration for other people, your life starts to be affirmed because you are building confidence within yourself to create. You are a creator. You are a natural. You have innate abilities to create. Today, you must create. Today, you need to smile. Today, I want to affirm you that you are God-like. You are a creator. Put in the comments, I am alive to create. Thank you so much. Put in the chat, I am alive to create. I am alive to create. Okay. I am alive to create. Your biology is godlike. Say it. My biology is godlike. My purpose is to create. We are affirming ourselves with these words. My biology is godlike. My purpose is to create. I am alive to create because I am a creative being. I come from a creative God that believes in developing my reason, my purpose through cycles and phases and seasons and systems and processes, that I can continue to be joyful because I know that on the other side of my beginning process, of my order, that on the other side of me trusting my creative genes, on the other side of that, I have milestones, which means I graduate high school, I get a degree, I go get the experience, I volunteer in my community, I create a smile on someone's face because I do something kind. These are all milestones of my experiences that help me affirm and sustain and my truth and my creativity to be validated. You are validated. You are creative. Your creativity matters, and you must start to create today. You are alive and you are hearing this for a reason, which means you need to take notes of that reason. I'm getting real comfortable, y'all. I'm real comfortable because you are alive to create, and your life matters. Your purpose matters. You must do what you have been born to do. And if you don't know exactly what that is, I know an easy way that you can start to figure it out. Do things that make you smile. Do other things for other people that make them smile. Do things that really mean something to you. Create from a place that has passion and fire behind it. Anything that has passion and fire behind it can be sustained. Anything that has passion and fire behind it is something that you want to pay attention to, because if you get that feeling, this overwhelming, overjoyed feeling, then you need to tap into that. Do you get that feeling when you ride bikes? Do you get that feeling when you help other people? Do you get that feeling when you work on cars? Do you get that feeling when you cut people's hair? Do you get that feeling when you cut the yard? Do you get that feeling when you paint? Do you get that feeling when you cook? What feeling do you get when you do things that make you smile? You are created for a purpose. You are created for a reason. You are created for victory. You are victorious. You must tap into your victory because victory is here. Victory is developed through the process, but God already created everything in the beginning. You don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to start from zero, ground zero. You start from where God has placed you. You start out with a home run because you are victorious. You are creative, and you are created for creativity. One thing about creativity, and I'm going to write this down too. One thing about creativity is you can never use all your creativity up. You just can't. You cannot use all your creativity up. It's yours. It's yours. You can't use your creativity up. You can't use it up. It's all yours. You must be creative. Get creative. Do things that matter to you. Do things that give you life, that bring smiles, that give you some purpose to be here. Don't just, be in the bed all day and don't use your days wisely, because you are created for a purpose. You are created for a purpose. You matter. You are creative. God loves a creative you. God loves a creative you, okay? And the last thing I want you to put in the chat is I love my creativity. I love my creativity. Okay? So just to recap, God used words to create our reality. So if God used words and God used thoughts and God used words that you can write down, then I think that you should do the same thing. Use words to affirm yourself. Like the words we just said, I love my creativity. I am alive to create. I am affirmed, sustained, and validated. My purpose is to create. My biology is godlike. All those things we said, that is called affirmation. All those things are called affirmations. And so now that you know that you can use your words to create your reality, today what I want you to do is I want you to I'm going to write it down. This is your homework. This is your call to action. Take action steps. Write down 5 things you will create in your lifetime. It can be anything. 5 things you will create before you pass away in your lifetime. So that means before you die. Before you end your life, I want you to write down 5 things you will create in your lifetime. 5 things you will create in your lifetime. Write down 5 things you will create in your lifetime. And then I want you to come back online. And write those 5 things in the comments. I'm back on here. I want you to write those 5 things down and then come back to this post and comment at least 1 or 2 of those 5 things. But your homework today from the creativity lesson is to write down 5 things you will create in your lifetime. Okay? You should be able to see me. I had took my camera off, but I'm ending the session now. So I hope that you learned something today, and I was very comfortable. I got my shoes off. I was just kicking back, and this lesson is all good. So take action. Write down 5 things you will create in your lifetime, and we will resume. We will come back. My phone, my laptop is about to die, so that means it's time to go. I had an amazing time with you all. Come back and see me. And we'll come back soon. Are there any questions before I go? If you have any questions, please let me know. You can comment your question, put your question in the comments. If there are no questions, I will be out, vibe out, and I'll see y'all and know that you are godlike. Peace.